I found my wife's second phone hidden in her car. Trust in marriage operates on the assumption that both partners are living transparent lives with each other. We share our daily experiences, our communications, our friendships, and our professional relationships. When someone maintains a completely separate device for secret communications, it reveals a level of premeditation and deception that goes far beyond momentary lapses in judgment. A hidden phone represents a deliberately constructed double life, carefully maintained and systematically concealed from the person who should be your closest confidant and partner. The discovery of a spouse's secret phone is uniquely devastating because it represents not just betrayal, but calculated betrayal. Someone doesn't accidentally acquire a second device, accidentally hide it, and accidentally use it for secret communications. Every aspect of maintaining a hidden phone requires deliberate choices to deceive and compartmentalize their life in ways that exclude their spouse from fundamental aspects of their daily existence. I'm Marcus, 33 years old, and I work as a project manager for a construction company in Denver. My wife Elena and I have been married for 7 years, together for 9. She's 31 and works as a dental hygienist at a practice downtown. We own a house in the suburbs, have been actively trying to conceive for the past year, and what I believed was a solid, trusting marriage built on open communication and shared goals for our future family. Elena has always been somewhat private about her phone, but not in a way that seemed suspicious or concerning. She'd take calls in other rooms sometimes, keep her device face down during dinner, and generally treated her phone as personal space rather than something we needed to share completely. I respected her privacy and never felt the need to monitor her communications or demand access to her personal conversations with friends and family. But over the past 4 months, I'd noticed some changes in Elena's behavior and routine that, individually, seemed insignificant, but collectively created a pattern that made me increasingly uncomfortable. She'd started staying late at work more frequently, claiming the dental practice was exceptionally busy with new patients and extended procedures. She'd become more secretive about her weekend plans, often announcing she was meeting friends for lunch or shopping trips that she'd never mentioned planning. Most noticeably, Elena had become almost possessive about her phone in ways that felt different from her usual privacy preferences. She'd take it with her to the bathroom, sleep with it under her pillow rather than on her nightstand, and seem genuinely anxious if she couldn't locate it immediately. When I'd casually ask who she was texting or what was keeping her so engaged with her device, she'd become defensive and claim it was just work coordination or family group chats. Last Saturday morning, Elena left early to meet her sister for what she described as a shopping trip to look for baby shower gifts for their cousin. She seemed unusually rushed and distracted, forgetting her coffee and having to return to the house twice for items she'd left behind. After she drove away, I noticed her main phone sitting on our kitchen counter, a device she'd seemingly forgotten in her hurry to leave for her sister's place. This struck me as odd because Elena never went anywhere without her phone. She was constantly connected to work, family, and friends through that device, and I couldn't remember a single instance in our entire relationship when she'd accidentally left it behind. She was the type of person who would turn around and drive home if she realized she'd forgotten her phone, even for short trips to the grocery store. I decided to drive to the dental practice where Elena worked, thinking I could surprise her by bringing her forgotten phone and maybe join her and her sister for lunch if their shopping plans allowed time for it. The dental office was only 15 minutes from our house, and I thought it would be a nice gesture to help her stay connected to any work emergencies or family communications she might need to handle. When I arrived at the dental practice, I was surprised to find the parking lot completely empty. The office was clearly closed, with no lights on and security systems obviously activated. Elena had told me she was meeting her sister after stopping by work to check on some patient files and prepare materials for Monday's appointments, but there was no evidence that anyone had been there recently. I called Elena's sister Maria to ask if their shopping plans had changed or if Elena was running late for their meeting. Maria sounded confused and told me that they didn't have any plans that day. In fact, she was at home with her family and hadn't spoken to Elena since the previous weekend. A cold feeling of anxiety began to settle in my stomach as I realized that Elena had lied about her destination and activities for the day. She'd claimed to be doing work tasks at a closed office and meeting a sister who had no knowledge of any planned activities together. I drove back home, trying to come up with innocent explanations for what I discovered. Maybe Elena had confused her schedule or mixed up her plans with a different weekend. Maybe she'd decided to do something spontaneous and simply told me what she'd originally planned rather than her actual activities. But the forgotten phone bothered me more than the scheduling confusion. Elena never forgot her phone. When I got home, I looked at Elena's device sitting on our kitchen counter and made a decision that I knew crossed privacy boundaries but felt necessary given the circumstances. I needed to understand if there was some emergency or unusual situation that might explain her behavior and the discrepancies in her story. Elena had never hidden her phone passcode from me, and I'd occasionally used her device for maps or music when my own phone was dead or unavailable. I unlocked her phone and immediately noticed something strange. There were very few recent text messages, calls, or app notifications. For someone who was constantly connected and communicating, her phone seemed almost unused. The message history showed routine communications with her dentist office colleagues, a few family group chats with standard updates and casual conversations, and some exchanges with local friends about general social plans. But there was nothing that seemed to account for the amount of time Elena spent engaged with her phone each evening, and no evidence of the work communications or urgent family matters that she often claimed were keeping her so busy. I was about to put the phone down, feeling guilty about invading Elena's privacy without finding anything that explained my concerns, when I noticed something in her car that I'd never seen before. Through our kitchen window, I could see into Elena's Honda Civic parked in our driveway, and there was a small black object tucked between the driver's seat and center console that looked suspiciously like another phone. I walked outside and checked Elena's car, discovering a second iPhone hidden in the small storage compartment between the front seats. This device was password protected with a different passcode than Elena's main phone, and the lock screen showed it was receiving regular notifications and messages from numbers and contacts I didn't recognize. The existence of a completely separate, hidden phone explained everything I'd been noticing about Elena's behavior over the past 4 months. While her main phone showed relatively little activity, this secret device was clearly where her real communications and activities were being coordinated. I sat in our driveway holding this hidden phone, trying to process the implications of what I'd discovered. Elena wasn't just being private about her communications. She was maintaining an entirely separate digital life that was hidden from me. This level of deception required deliberate planning, ongoing maintenance, and systematic lying about her daily activities and whereabouts. The phone continued receiving notifications while I held it, showing incoming messages from contacts saved under names like E and work friend and gym guy. These weren't the kinds of contact names that suggested innocent friendships or professional relationships. I made the decision to take Elena's hidden phone to a friend who works in IT security, explaining that I'd found what appeared to be a lost device and wanted to help return it to its owner. I didn't provide details about the circumstances of the discovery, but asked if there was any way to access basic information that might help identify the legitimate owner. My friend was able to bypass the lock screen using recovery tools, and what we found on the device completely destroyed any remaining hope that there might be an innocent explanation for Elena's secret phone. The hidden device contained months of intimate text conversations with multiple men, including explicit photos and videos that Elena had sent and received. There were dating app profiles under a fake name with photos of Elena that I recognized from recent trips and events we'd attended together. The calendar app showed regular appointments and meetups that corresponded exactly with the times Elena had claimed to be working late or meeting friends. Most devastatingly, there were detailed conversations about our marriage, our attempts to conceive, and Elena's frustrations with what she described as our boring relationship. She'd been telling multiple affair partners about our private, intimate life, sharing details about our efforts to start a family, and discussing her plans to leave me once she decided which of her current relationships had the most long-term potential. The timeline revealed that Elena's secret life had been ongoing for at least 6 months, starting around the time we'd begun actively trying to get pregnant. While I'd been focused on building our family and planning our future together, she'd been maintaining multiple relationships and essentially interviewing potential replacement husbands. When Elena returned home that evening, I was sitting at our kitchen table with both of her phones in front of me. Her main device, which she'd forgotten that morning, and her hidden device, which revealed the truth about how she'd been spending her time and emotional energy for the past 6 months. The expression on Elena's face when she saw both phones told me everything I needed to know about her awareness of what I'd discovered. She didn't ask why I had her hidden phone or how I'd found it. She immediately understood that her secret life had been exposed. "Marcus," she started, but I held up my hand to stop her from speaking. "I know about everything," I said simply. "The dating apps, the affairs, the lies about work and family plans. I know about the men you've been meeting and the things you've been saying about our marriage and our attempts to have children together." Elena sank into one of our kitchen chairs, her face pale and her hands shaking. There was no point in denial or explanation. The evidence was comprehensive and undeniable. "How long have you been planning to leave me?" I asked, referring to the conversations I'd read where she discussed timing her departure based on which relationship seemed most promising. I wasn't planning planning to leave, she said quietly. I was just exploring my options. For 6 months, I said, while we were trying to get pregnant, while I was planning our future together. The conversation that followed revealed the full extent of Elena's deception and her complete lack of commitment to our marriage. She admitted that she'd never been sure about wanting children with me, that she'd been feeling suffocated by our relationship, and that maintaining affairs had made her feel alive and desirable in ways that our marriage couldn't provide. She claimed that her secret phone was a way to explore whether she really wanted to stay married or if there were better options available to her. She described it as research rather than cheating, as if systematically evaluating replacement husbands was somehow less of a betrayal than a traditional affair. You've been living a completely separate life for 6 months, I told her. You've been lying about where you go, who you see, what you do with your time. You've been sharing intimate details about our marriage with strangers and planning to leave me for whoever offered the best deal. Elena tried to frame her behavior as confusion about what she wanted rather than deliberate betrayal, but the evidence on her hidden phone showed months of calculated deception and systematic exploration of other relationships while maintaining the pretense of being a committed wife. I told Elena that I wanted her to move out of our house immediately. The level of systematic deception made it impossible for me to believe anything she said about wanting to work on our marriage or being genuinely remorseful about her choices. The divorce proceedings revealed additional details about Elena's secret life, including financial records that showed she'd been spending significant amounts of money on her affairs, fancy dinners, hotel rooms, gifts for her various partners, all funded by our joint accounts while claiming to be saving money for our future family. Elena's hidden phone became crucial evidence in our divorce case, demonstrating the premeditated nature of her deception and her systematic violation of our marriage vows. The documented timeline of her affairs and her recorded discussions about leaving me provided clear grounds for divorce and influenced the division of our assets. 6 months after our divorce was finalized, I learned through mutual friends that Elena was still using dating apps and maintaining multiple relationships simultaneously. Apparently, the pattern of deception and secret communications had continued into her post-marriage life, suggesting that the problem wasn't with our relationship specifically, but with her fundamental approach to commitment and honesty. I'm in a relationship now with someone who values transparency and open communication above everything else. We've discussed the importance of having access to each other's devices and communications, not because we don't trust each other, but because we believe that healthy relationships shouldn't require secret phones or hidden digital lives. The most important lesson I learned from discovering Elena's hidden phone is that some forms of betrayal require such elaborate planning and systematic deception that they reveal fundamental character flaws rather than momentary lapses in judgment. Maintaining a secret phone for 6 months while trying to conceive with your spouse demonstrates a level of compartmentalization and duplicity that goes far beyond typical relationship problems. Looking back, I'm grateful that I discovered Elena's hidden phone when I did, before we'd successfully conceived and brought children into a marriage that was built on lies and deception. The discovery was devastating, but it prevented me from spending years unknowingly living with someone who was fundamentally dishonest about her commitments and intentions. The experience taught me to pay attention to changes in behavior and to trust my instincts when something feels wrong, even if I can't immediately identify what's causing my discomfort. Elena's increasing secrecy about her phone and her defensive reactions to casual questions were warning signs that I initially dismissed but should have taken more seriously. Most importantly, I learned that transparency in marriage isn't just about not keeping secrets. It's about actively sharing your life with your partner in ways that make secrets impossible to maintain. When someone needs a hidden phone to live their authentic life, they're demonstrating that their authentic life is incompatible with their marriage.